So hello everybody, my name is Jeannie. Welcome to Jeannie Yoga and You. And today we're going to do something I think of as fronds, as in sea fronds, or releasing the fluid body. And this is dedicated to a teacher I saw for years, John Sturck, who's a wonderful teacher. So thank you, John. He introduced this concept to me. Come on, find a mat. And we're not just going to have a mat, we're actually going to need something resembling a bolster. So I have to show you an actual bolster. If you have one, fantastic. And a bolster I've designed. So you can simply take a cushion, get a cushion, give it a squeeze it in. And you could even take a blanket, which would be better, but I've just picked up a throw to show you how it can be done with the bare minimum. And just take one end of the throw. It's a little bit of a thing you wrap around you on the beach. And then simply roll the cushion around the piece of fabric or the throw or whatever you've got. Roll it around. Come right around, and you create something that will work as a bolster. So I'm going to take the actual bolster off screen. I'm going to work with the new bolster so that you know that this is possible. And we put this down on the mat, the bolster's on the mat. And we're simply going to now get the base of the spine. So bring the base of the spine onto the bolster, keep it all squeezed up. And to begin with, just lay yourself back, and it can take a little while, a couple of moments or minutes even, to find the right place to be here. So we're going to begin to drop into the practice now. So we're finding somewhere on this makeshift bolster where you feel the pelvis is supported. There's a sense of a little bit of space between the legs and the torso. There may be an immediate lovely stretch through the abdominals. And you can always come up and you can always move the bolster down a little. And I would experiment. Sometimes for some people just slightly down so the waist is hanging off a little and it's the tail that's being lifted. Some people prefer it a little higher up. And you'll know because it will be like finding a sweet spot. And you'll find the place where the bolster works. Just find that place. And then place one hand on the abdomen, other hand on the abdomen. And let the feet, legs are bent, let the feet drop into the floor. So this sequence is very experiential. There's no way of getting it wrong. And you're simply, for as long as you have, to begin with, allowing the back of the body to drop into the floor. And I'm turning my head to speak to you, but you'd really be letting the back of the head weight itself, like a bowling ball, boom, going down. The feet are weighted. The pelvis is lifted on the bolster and also weighted. And the hands are a reassuring weight so the abdominals can fall back toward the front of the spine. And there may be gurglings, which is fine. It's fine if not. And that would be the nervous system beginning to let go, beginning to relax. So when we talk about releasing the fluid body, we're talking about the synovial fluid that has its own intelligence. And you may begin to feel a wave of movement, very subtle. It's fine if you don't feel it. That isn't breath. This wave is not breath. This wave is fluid.
And we are mostly fluid. I think it's 97%, I don't know the percentage. We are mostly fluid. And this fluid that fluidates the joints, the synovial fluid has an active intelligence, communicates all over the body, and is very receptive and also a transmitter. So we want to free the fluid body so that she or he can enliven the system. And we don't fully understand how this works, and that's great. And if you can come from that place with this exercise of not fully understanding and being okay with that, that's also great. If you feel you want to adjust your bolster, you can adjust the bolster. When you do, let the pelvis drop back into the floor again. Give her away, give him away. And you want to be comfortable with the clothes, so make sure you've got the clothes, if they're snug, they're fitted, that you've got some space around the hips. And it's a huge movement we're about to make. There's no rush on it. You may be becoming aware now of the fluidic quality of your system, of the outer density and the inner fluidic quality. And we're simply going to pick a leg, maybe the right leg, and just start the right leg moving upward. Try not to lift with your muscles. This will be difficult because it's habitual. But even as you lift the leg a little, let the long bone, let the femur fall back into that joint, into that socket, the hip socket. And then let the leg slightly straighten, but not too much. And we want the long bone, the femur, to still be dropping back. And the leg may feel uncomfortable like this for a moment, and it may feel quite heavy. Bring the knee forward a little and see if you can find that place, long bone dropping, where the leg is floating in the air. The hands are just dropping into the abdominals. Open the mouth to relax the jaw. And you can move the leg a little so they can move slightly one way, and I mean tiny movements, barely seen, slightly the other way, to look for that line up where the femur can drop and the leg can float. So I think I have to straighten my leg a little more to bring her into that place. Whoa. And there it is. There's less sense of holding with the muscle and more sense of being held by the air. And a little shaking is actually a release. It can seem to be muscular, and it might be initially, but it's also the release of held tension, and in some cases trauma. You might even feel your teeth wanting to chatter. Fantastic. Just let the abdominals drop down. So it's a huge movement. The other leg is coming up. Now already we're lifting, it's such a habit. See if you can float the leg up to somewhere where the femur, the long leg bone, is dropping back into that socket. Whoa. There's a trembling now. And all I'm doing is looking for that place where the legs can float. And I'm speaking with my hands, but your hands are dropped on your abdominals or on the ground or crossed one arm over the other arm across the chest and just letting the elbows drop down. This is actually good, I think. So like a frond, no arms. And you might notice a slight back and forth movement. There is a pulsation in the body that if we let go, it begins. And it's involuntary. And it's very, very healing. So maybe allowing that slight pulsation to happen. We're looking always for that place where the femurs can drop back into the ball and socket joint, and that lubrication can happen. The fluid is moving. The arms are dropped. Maybe there's a slight pulsation. Whatever you don't feel or do feel is fine. And you may feel some release in the pelvis. Just a sense of, as a female I can describe it, just a sense of opening. There's an opening in the pelvis. There's some more space. And then very slowly we're going to take one leg, doesn't matter which one, and allow it to begin to come down. Open the mouth to release the jaw, and really slowly, like floating. Being lowered down by the air. Encased in air and lowered so slowly. And we're only coming down, take your time, too fast already, to the ball of the foot. So the heel's off the ground. There's weight going to the ball of the foot. Maybe the hands want to rest on the abdominals. And then so slowly. Oh. You can feel a fluidic rush through the head here. So slowly begin to bring the second leg down. Too fast, slow down. Take your time. Whoa. And you bring, you allow, the air is lowering you. The ball of the foot to the ground, heels off the ground, and then you simply lower one heel and you lower the other heel. You let the pelvis drop, let the arms, the hands fall back wherever they are. And whatever you do or don't feel is always fine. You may feel how the pelvis is still dropping. There's a galaxy to be got down through. Open the mouth. And the longer you can stay with this, the more nectar there is for you. The more riches. And then really slowly, and again, just in the air, minimal muscle engagement. This is a movement toward light. If you were in water, you're a frond with a soft elbow and a soft wrist, and there may even be a pulsation in the hand immediately. You're not doing it, it's coming through. And that may take a little disengagement to get a sense of. Disengagement from our ideas about how things work, and just letting this C arm come up. C, S-E-A. That's too straight. The elbow needs to soften. So it's floating in the air. And there's one piece of fascia, one piece of tissue that covers the entire body, going inside the mouth. And you might feel the pelvic floor or the roof of the mouth respond to this pulsation in the hand. And you're not doing it. And find somewhere where that long arm bone, I guess it's maybe not as long as the other one, depends on your ratio. But this first arm bone to the shoulders can fall back into that joint. And that lubricates the joint. Elbows soft. Back of the head heavy, gazing up. And then huge movement, so just, whoa, too fast. Just let the air allow your passage upward. This is the second C frond coming up. If you feel like you're doing it, then just drop back a little and wait for the expansion to come from somewhere other than your mind. So you don't know what the arm is doing. You know it's up. And we're always looking for that place where the first bone with the shoulder falls back into the joint, opening the mouth. Maybe there's a ripple in the palms. Soften the brow. And as I spoke just now, my throat caught, which is exactly right. There'll be other involuntary responses in the body. And it's the release of the fluid body. Ooh. So you're really not holding these arms. Change the angle if they feel held. Go for where they're floating. And it's a huge movement. See if you can allow it rather than do it. You float one leg up. Whoa, too much doing already. Drop that leg back. Relaxing the facial skin. You can feel the connection between the facial skin and the fascia on the leg. Just allow that leg to come up. And we're looking for that place where the femur, the long bone, falls back into the ball and socket joint. The arms are in communication with the leg, with themselves. Maybe less bend in the knee. Just trust this process. And if you want to move the final leg, that's too mental. See if you can let go of the decision to move it and wait for an impulse. You first leave the ground. There's going to be muscle engagement. Let the femur, the long bone of a moving leg, fall back into the ball and socket joint of the hips. We're looking for that place where the leg can rest. Whoa. And it's almost hard to talk now, but I'm going to talk. I think this can be communicated in a room when we're together, and I think it can be communicated virtually also. So the one piece of tissue that covers the body, the fascia, is alive. And the bones are falling back into their sockets. And the air is an element that is supporting us. And then we allow the most minute, invisible nearly, movement of the legs very gently toward the arms very gently towards the legs, you can hardly see it, and then the movement away. So in the air, the tiniest ripples being created, and it's huge. And the movement is there. It's in the pelvis. The soles of the feet are registering it. The brow has got it. Your hair can feel the movement. Oh. And you get to somewhere where you could almost die or sleep, and it would stay the same. Certainly sleep. Soften the hands. So the organism is being bathed in synovial fluid. And then any hand begins to be lowered. It's the air lowering. Come to rest on the chest, let the elbow go. Huge change. The change goes through the body. Too fast with the other arm. We slow it down. Whoa. Release the intention. Just allow the arm to lower. Let go of that tension in the jaw. Bring that arm down. More slow. The elbow goes. And the legs are in love with themselves and with the fluid that is lubricating the head of each femur. Those hip joints are just bathed in synovial fluid that is alive and intelligent and rich in healing agents. It is a healing agent. And so slowly now, you might want to cry. It's so beautiful. You're not doing it. The air is beginning to lower one leg. Slowly. Open the mouth to take all the will away. Come to the ball of the foot. Keep the heel up. Let that change go through the body. Huge change. If there's trembling or shaking, wonderful. Allow the release. And so slowly now. Woo. It's a huge movement. It's evolutionary. Bring the second ball of the foot to the ground. And then lower one heel. It just happens. Lower the other heel. Feel the relationship between the heels and the eyelids. Maybe the eyes are closed. And now you might be feeling this wave of fluid that is moving through the body sweeping perhaps in cross currents, diagonally. And then we just take the hands really slowly. You've done great. The slower you can, the more riches. And come to that beautiful bolster and just begin to send the bolster down. Send her down and give her a little bit of movement with the legs. Bring her down to a place where she can support the knees. And if she's a narrow bolster, that's fine. The knees will roll open on the edges of her. And let go. And let go of language. And let go. And I would invite you to stay here for as long as you're able, because the healing continues. And the room you've been practicing in has it as well. In a moment, I'm going to roll into my side, gently come up, and switch off the video. And the healing is there with you. You've created it. Go well.